We know Obamacare has been engulfing Washington right now, but another problem is coming at us: the budget and our debt. Remember that? Well, the 29-member Joint Senate and House Budget Conference Committee is aiming for a budget deal by December 13th. And yes, another potential shutdown deadline looms for January 15th, unless there's another compromise. One member of that committee joins us now from Brunswick, Maine. He is independent United States Senator Angus King, Jr. of Maine, who caucuses with the Democrats. Senator, always good to see you and welcome.
Nice to be with you.
You were governor for 2 terms. You cut taxes. You had to balance the budget by law in Augusta, Maine. Why can't Washington ever be able to do that?
Well, I think perhaps the best answer to that is that they have the printing press in Washington. We didn't have the printing press in Maine. Otherwise, we would have been up to our elbows in moose bucks. But borrowing has become a way of life in Washington. It's just routine. It's accepted. I think there have been deficits something like 40 of the last 43 years. There have only been 2 or 3 surpluses. And in my view, it's too easy for politicians to spend and too hard for them to tax, and you end up with deficits.
So now you've been in these meetings at the moment. I mean, do you think we'll ever get an answer to this? And what do you think could happen come December 13th?
Well, it's going to be close. It's a very tough negotiation. I talked to Patty Murray, the chair of the Budget Committee, this morning. She's in contact with Chairman Ryan of the House Budget Committee. The 2 sides are very far apart. And the reason it's so hard is that what's at stake is really the core values of the 2 parties. The Republicans want no revenues, no increases whatsoever. The Democrats are very reluctant to make cuts in entitlement programs. And the truth is, I believe a little bit of both is going to be necessary to resolve this problem, or we're going to be stuck with a sequester, which was designed, you got to remember, it was literally designed to be stupid. It was designed to be so unacceptable to both sides that it would provoke some kind of compromise settlement. It didn't work, and now we have this across-the-board cut in defense and in discretionary, and you can't. They don't have flexibility, and it's really going to bite. And it's a ridiculous way to govern. And I'm hoping for 2 reasons that we can come to a settlement. One, because we should, just from the point of view of the substance of having a more rational budget, but also just to prove to the American people that we can do our most basic job. I think it's almost more important that we do something than what the details are, just to show that, for the first time in 4 or 5 years, we can actually pass a budget in the United States Congress. Think of that.
Well, you are in a unique position because you're an independent. Well, you got the Democrats and the Republicans at loggerheads. Let's take a look at I'll call it the little bit of both, Angus King plan. You have proposed actually the following, which closes corporate tax loopholes, about $200 billion in that, dealing with $255 billion in entitlement reforms. And also look at this. You have proposed to cut corporate taxes from 35% to 32.5%. Senator, that sounds like you're either Ronald Reagan or JFK or both. How can all that help, and what do you think of your plan?
Well, I put something on the table at the meeting the other day because I feel like you got to start with something, and there was a lot of discussion of sort of general economic principles and where we're going and what the future economy looks like, and I felt, hey, we're in the budget conference here. Here's a proposal. I don't expect that it will become the final deal, but I said at the time, here's something that has something in it that everybody can hate. And by definition, that's where we have to end up. One side or the other can't win it all. I mean, the mathematics of Washington are pretty straightforward. You've got a Democratic president, a Republican House, a Democratic Senate, but although the Republicans in the Senate have substantial power because of the rules, and that means nothing happens without bipartisan support. It's just absolutely a dead certainty, and so everybody's got to give a little. And oftentimes, I think, the Republicans in the House think they run the place, the Senate Democrats think they run the place, but in reality, it's got to be a joint enterprise. It's got to be a compromise. It's got to be something that gives everybody a little heartburn.
All right, well, we have that plan, and we'll see how it goes. We're facing that deadline in a month, so we'll check back with you. Senator Angus King, independent of Maine, we thank you for spending some of your Sunday with us today.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Jamie?
Great to be
Interesting
with you.
discussion.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, Secretary of State John Kerry is preparing to resume talks with 5 other world powers without, at this point, striking a possible nuclear